The door swung open without a knock, and there I was, stark naked, towel forgotten on the bathroom floor, my skin still damp from the shower. Steam curled in the air like a guilty secret, and the city lights of Chicago flickered through the rain-streaked window, mocking my solitude. "Holy shit," he breathed, the words hanging between us like a dare, his eyes widening not in disgust, but in something dangerously close to hunger. I froze, heart slamming against my ribs, every inch of me exposed under the harsh glow of the bedside lamp. He was the room service guy, mid-20s, maybe, with tousled dark hair that begged to be pulled and a uniform shirt stretched just tight enough over his chest to hint at the muscle beneath. The silver tray in his hands wobbled, a half-empty bottle of bourbon teetering on the edge, but he didn't drop it. Not yet. Instead, he stepped inside, kicking the door shut with his heel, his gaze raking over me like he was memorizing every scar, every freckle, every unspoken regret etched into my skin. I think you have the wrong room," I stammered, finally snapping out of it, grabbing a pillow from the bed to shield myself like some Victorian damsel. But my voice cracked, betraying the lie. I'd ordered that bourbon myself, a desperate 2 a.m. cry for numbness after the fight that had chased me here from New York. He didn't back away. He set the tray down on the desk with deliberate slowness, his fingers lingering on the cool metal, and when he straightened, there was a smirk playing at the corners of his mouth. "Nah, this is exactly where I need to be, Alex," he said, reading my name off the folio like it was an invitation. And in that moment, as thunder rumbled outside and the first fat raindrops hit the glass, I realized this wasn't a mistake. This was fate, or folly, or both, and it was about to unravel everything I thought I knew about trust, desire, and the fragile art of letting someone in. My name's Alex Harper, 32, a freelance photographer who'd burned out chasing sunsets in the Rockies and ended up crashing in this overpriced loop hotel, nursing a cocktail of heartbreak and deadline dread. I come to Chicago on a whim, a gig shooting the skyline for some glossy mag, but really, it was escape. From the boyfriend who'd ghosted me after 5 years, from the empty Brooklyn loft that echoed with his absence, from the gnawing fear that at my age, love was just a series of near misses. That night, the bourbon was supposed to be my armor. Instead, it became the spark. William, as I'd learn later, though in that electric haze, he was just those piercing green eyes and that voice like smoked whiskey, didn't leave. He poured a glass, neat, and slid it across the desk toward me, his movements fluid, unhurried, like he'd walked into a dozen rooms like this and claimed them all. "On the house," he said, though we both knew it wasn't. I clutched the pillow tighter, heat flooding my cheeks, but there was no shame in his stare, only curiosity. "You look like you could use it more than me," I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound that surprised us both. "What? You moonlight as a therapist? Or is this your standard procedure for walk-ins?" He leaned against the wall, arms crossed, the fabric of his shirt whispering against the paint. Rain lashed the window harder now, turning the world outside into a watery blur. "Standard? Hell no. But you've got that look. Like the city's chewing you up and you're too stubborn to spit it out." His words hit too close, peeling back layers I'd buried under sarcasm and shutter clicks. I took the glass, the liquor burning a path down my throat, and for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel alone. We talked, or rather, I spilled, until the bottle was half gone and the storm had softened to a drizzle. William was 25, a transplant from some nowhere town in Ohio, chasing acting dreams in the Windy City while slinging trays at the Palmer house to pay the rent. It's bullshit, he admitted, sinking onto the edge of the bed uninvited, his knee brushing mine through the pillow's flimsy barrier. Auditions that go nowhere, callbacks that ghost you. But nights like this, they make it worth it. His hand grazed my arm as he reached for the bottle, and the touch lingered, a promise wrapped in calluses from years of hauling ice buckets and dodging leering guests. By dawn, the pillow was discarded, my clothes a rumpled heap on the floor, and William's uniform jacket hung over the chair like a flag of surrender. We didn't sleep much, just tangled sheets and whispered confessions, his body fitting against mine like a puzzle piece I'd forgotten I was missing. He tasted like salt and possibility, his fingers tracing the tattoos on my back. A faded compass rose from my first road trip, a quote from Kerouac that now felt prophetic. "This is crazy," I murmured against his neck as the first light crept in, gray and unforgiving. He pulled me closer, breath warm on my ear. "Crazy's the only thing that feels real anymore, Alex, but reality has a way of crashing the afterglow." 2 days later, I extended my stay, trading deadline panic for stolen afternoons in Grant Park, where we'd wander hand in hidden hand among the tourists, stealing kisses behind the Picasso sculpture. William showed me his city, the hidden jazz dives in Wicker Park, the greasy spoon diners where the coffee was black as regret and the pancakes drowned in butter. He laughed easy, loved fierce, quoting lines from old Bogart films when things got heavy. "Here's looking at you, kid," he'd say, winking over a shared milkshake, and I'd melt, every wall I'd built crumbling under that grin. Yet there were shadows. Late nights when his phone buzzed and he'd silence it too quickly, eyes flicking away like I'd caught him mid-lie. "Just work," he'd mutter, but the tension in his shoulders said otherwise. I ignored it, chalked it up to my own paranoia, the scars from my ex, who'd promised forever and delivered radio silence. William was different. He had to be. He cooked for me one evening in his cramped Logan Square walk-up, spaghetti carbonara from a family recipe, served on mismatched plates under strings of Edison bulbs. We ate cross-legged on the floor, wine staining our lips, and when he kissed me after, slow and deep, I believed in second chances. That's when John entered the frame, sharp as a shattered lens. It started innocently enough. A photo I'd snapped of William mid-laugh, posted to my Insta story with a heart emoji and no caption. The likes rolled in, but one comment stopped me cold. "Who's the arm candy?" "Bill Harper." From John Ellis, my old college roommate, now a hotshot editor at the Trib. We hadn't spoken in years. Not since graduation when he'd vanished into the corporate grind, but his profile pic screamed success. Tailored suit, skyline backdrop, that same boyish charm masking whatever demons lurked. I messaged back, casual, just a Chicago fling. "You in town?" His reply was instant. "Fling? Sounds serious. Grabbing drinks at the Gauge tomorrow?" "Bring him." My gut twisted, but William shrugged it off when I told him. "Sure. Why not? John's your boy." Except as we walked into that dimly lit tavern the next night, William's hand tight in mine, I caught the flicker, his jaw clenching, eyes darting to the bar where a tall figure in a navy blazer waved us over. John. Older, broader, with salt and pepper at the temples and a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Alex, you bastard. It's been too long." John pulled me into a bear hug, clapping my back hard enough to rattle my teeth, then turned to William. The air shifted, electric and wrong. And you must be the mystery man. William, right? I've heard. Whispers. William's grip on my hand went slack, his face paling under the pub's amber glow. John, he said, voice flat, like he'd swallowed glass. They knew each other. Not casually, deeply. The kind of knowing that leaves marks. The drinks blurred into accusations. The three of us crammed in a corner booth. The weight of unspoken history pressing down like the humidity outside. Turns out John wasn't just my old roommate. He was William's everything fiancé, anchor, the man who'd pulled him from Ohio's dust and into Chicago's chaos. They'd met at an audition 5 years back. John scouting talent for some indie film that never got made. What started as mentorship bloomed into love, or so John claimed, his voice steady as he laid it out. Shared apartment in Lincoln Park, plans for a wedding in the Keys next summer. The works. William sat silent, staring into his whiskey, while I felt the floor drop out from under me. You didn't tell me, I whispered when John excused himself for the restroom, the betrayal bitter on my tongue. William's eyes met mine, shattered green glass. I was going to. God, Alex, I swear. John and I. It's been over for months. He's been stringing me along, using the ring as leverage for his career bullshit. But when I saw you that night, naked, raw, real, I couldn't walk away. Not from this. He reached for my hand, but I pulled back, the pillow from that first night a ghost between us. Lies by omission cut deepest, and mine was bleeding. The rest of the night dissolved into a haze. John returned, oblivious or pretending to be, regaling us with war stories from the newsroom, his arm slung casually over William's chair. I played along, laughing at the right cues, but inside, rage simmered, at William for the half-truths, at John for the proprietary gleam in his eye, at myself for diving headfirst into another heartbreak. By last call, I bolted, hailing a cab in the drizzle, William's pleas chasing me into the night. Alex, wait, please. Back in my hotel, the bourbon bottle mocked me from the minibar, empty as my chest. I scrolled through our texts, flirty banter, inside jokes, promises whispered in the dark, and deleted them one by one, each swipe a fresh wound. But sleep wouldn't come. Dawn found me pacing, camera in hand, framing shots of the empty bed like evidence in a crime scene. Betrayal wasn't just John's claim on William. It was the mirror it held up to my own fears. I'd run from New York to avoid this, only to crash into it harder. William showed up at noon, pounding on the door until housekeeping threatened to call security. I let him in, not out of forgiveness, but exhaustion. He looked wrecked, hair uncombed, eyes red-rimmed, the uniform swapped for jeans and a faded bull's tee that hugged his frame too accusingly. John cornered me last night after you left, he started, voice hoarse. Told me I was throwing it all away for a one-night stand with a tourist. But it's not that, Alex. You see me. The mess. The dreams that fizzle. The kid from Ohio who still wakes up scared he'll never make it. John never did. He wanted the polished version. The arm piece for galas. I wanted to believe him. God, I did. But trust is a fragile lens, cracked now beyond repair. Then why the secrets? The phone silences? If it's over, why not say it? He sank onto the bed, head in hands. Because ending it means admitting I failed. John's got connections, stability. Without him, I'm back to square one. His vulnerability cracked something in me, a fissure where anger met ache. I sat beside him, not touching, just close enough to feel the heat of his regret. And me? Am I just the rebound? The escape hatch? No, he said fiercely, turning to me, fingers brushing my jaw. You're the wake-up call. The one who makes me want to fight for real. The kiss that followed was desperate. A collision of need and doubt. His hands mapping my body like he was afraid I'd vanish. We fell into it, clothes shedding like old skin, the room filling with gasps and the scent of rain-soaked sheets. It was more than sex, it was absolution, or atonement, his whispers of "I'm sorry" blending with my moans. For those stolen hours, the world narrowed to us. Sweat-slicked skin, racing pulses, the fragile bridge we were building over the chasm John had carved. But bridges burn easy. That evening, as we lay tangled and spent, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. A screenshot of William and John at some rooftop party last month. Arms around each other, captions screaming "Future Mr." And Mr. attached note. He's playing you, Alex. Run while you can. A friend. My blood iced. William stirred, mumbling my name, but I was already dressing, the evidence clutched like a grenade. Who's this from? I demanded when he woke fully, shoving the phone under his nose. His face crumpled, recognition dawning. Shit. That's from John's assistant. She hates him, always stirring drama. Or truth. I shot back. Voice steel. The fight erupted then, words flying like shrapnel. My accusations of manipulation, his defenses laced with John's manipulations. You think I wanted this? To hurt you? He yelled, standing naked and furious, mirroring that first night but inverted. Now he was the exposed one. John's the one who won't let go. He proposed to trap me, Alex, because he knows I'm slipping away. Tears streaked his cheeks, and mine burned hot, the room spinning with the vertigo of half-truths. I stormed out, leaving him there, the door slamming like a guillotine. Chicago swallowed me whole, neon haze of Rush Street, the L train rattling overhead like my fracturing heart. I checked out that night, booking the red-eye to New York, vowing never to look back. But as the plane lifted off, Lake Michigan shrinking below, regret clawed in. William wasn't the villain. None of us were. We were just men, flawed and fumbling, chasing light in a city of shadows. Weeks blurred into a numb routine back home. Shoots in the village, coffee runs that tasted like ash, nights scrolling William's sparse socials, audition selfies, cryptic quotes about reinvention. John posted wedding inspo, all glossy beaches and tuxedos, but no ring finger shots. Subtle, but it gnawed. Then, package arrived. My forgotten camera lens, wrapped in newsprint from the Trib, with a note in William's scrawl. You left this behind. And maybe your heart. Call me. I didn't. Not yet. Instead, I pitched a story to my editor, a photo essay on second acts, profiles of dreamers starting over. Chicago called me back. Not for him, but for the narrative. I returned in October, leaves turning the parks to fire, the air crisp with unspoken what-ifs. Our first meeting was at that same jazz dive. Awkward toasts over sax solos, apologies traded like currency. I broke it off with John, he said quietly, when the set ended. For real this time. Filed the papers last week. It was ugly, screaming matches, threats to blacklist me, but worth it. For us. The word hung, tentative. We rebuilt slow, coffee dates that stretched into midnight walks along the lakefront, where he'd sketch lines from new scripts on napkins, and I'd capture him in golden hour, unguarded. John lurked in the periphery, a passive-aggressive email to my editor badmouthing my bias, a chance run-in at a gallery opening where his eyes spat venom. "You stole him," he hissed in the coat check, breath sour with scotch. "No," I replied, calm as Lake Michigan in winter. "He chose himself." The climax hit on a snowy December eve. John's final gambit. He'd lured William to their old apartment under pretense of signing divorce papers, but it was a trap, cameras hidden, a staged reconciliation for some twisted leverage in a custody battle over shared assets. No, worse, blackmail. John had photos, intimate ones from their past, threatening to leak them if William didn't recant the split. William called me from the lobby, voice breaking. "He's lost it, Alex. Says he'll ruin us both." Panic surged, but so did clarity. I raced over, bursting into that sterile Lincoln Park lair. John red-faced and raging, papers scattered like confetti from hell. "You," he snarled, lunging at me, but William stepped between, fierce as a storm. "Enough. This ends now." The confrontation spilled out, John's admissions of control, the proposal as a cage, his own affairs buried under hypocrisy. Fists weren't thrown. Words were the weapons, slicing deep until John deflated, a man revealed as hollow. "I loved you," he whispered to William, broken. "Not like this," William replied, and in that release, forgiveness flickered, not absolution, but understanding. Human frailty laid bare. We left together, snow falling soft as mercy, John's sobs echoing behind us. In the cab ride home to William's place now, ours by tentative claim, we held each other, silent, the city's lights blurring through frost-laced windows. "I almost lost you," I murmured. He kissed my temple. "You saved me." From him. From myself. Spring came slow, but it came. We moved into a loft in Pilsen, walls lined with my prints and his scripts, a life woven from threads of chaos. William landed a role off-Broadway, small, but his, and I chronicled it all. Our story immortalized in a book that sold modestly but healed profoundly. John faded, rebuilding in silence, a reminder that betrayal scars but doesn't define. Ours was no fairy tale. It was real, messy, profound, laced with the quiet heroism of choosing love over fear. And on quiet nights, when thunder rolls over the lake, I remember that first door swinging open, naked and unarmored. It shocked us both, yes, but it also set us free. The months that followed our snowy exodus from John's apartment were a delicate dance, one step forward laced with the ghosts of two back. William threw himself into rehearsals for Echoes in the Alley, a gritty ensemble piece about immigrant hustlers in old-school Chicago. His days a blur of blocking sessions and cold reads that left him hoarse and hollow-eyed. I'd watch from the wings sometimes, camera slung around my neck like a talisman, capturing the way his face lit up under the work lights, vulnerable yet unbreakable. The boy from Ohio eclipsed by the man emerging. But at home, in our sun-dappled loft with its exposed brick and creaky floors, the cracks showed. He'd jolt awake from nightmares, murmuring John's name like a curse, and I'd pull him close, whispering anchors until his breathing steadied. It wasn't just him. My own demons stirred, doubts that whispered I was the interloper, the rebound who couldn't hold a candle to 5 years of history. We'd make love fierce and frequent, Bodies a battlefield where trust was reclaimed inch by inch. But mornings brought the mirror. His eyes distant over coffee, my fingers tracing old love bites like maps to minefields. "We need to talk about it," I said one April afternoon, sunlight slanting through the blinds as we sprawled on the fire escape, legs dangling over the alley below. Cigarette smoke curled between us, his habit, my vice by proxy, and he nodded, slow, like the weight pressed heavy. "John called last week," he admitted, flicking ash into the void. My stomach nodded, but I kept my voice even. What did he want? William's jaw tightened, green eyes stormy. "Forgiveness. Or closure." Said he's in therapy, realizing he was toxic. Wants to grab coffee. No strings. The word hung, innocuous yet incendiary. I stubbed out my smoke, heat rising not from jealousy, but the echo of that first betrayal. "And you? What do you want?" He turned to me then, hand cupping my cheek, thumb rough against my stubble. "You, Alex. Only you." But ignoring him feels like letting him win, keeping that power over me. We went together, a united front, to a nondescript cafe in Andersonville, the kind with mismatched mugs and folk tunes humming low. John arrived early, thinner, shadows under his eyes like bruises from invisible blows. He stood when he saw us, awkward in khakis and a button-down, the editor polish dulled. "Thanks for coming," he said, voice stripped bare, and we sat, me beside William, our knees touching under the table like a secret pact. The conversation meandered, small talk about weather, then weather the storm of their breakup. John owned it all, the control, the affairs, plural, a gut punch even to me, the way he'd weaponized love like a deadline. I was scared, he confessed, stirring his latte into froth. Of losing you to the stage, to someone who got the hunger I never did. William listened, face a mask of controlled ache. But when John reached across, hesitant, pleading, William didn't flinch away. "I forgive you," he said simply, and the words landed like rain on parched earth, washing something clean in all of us. No tears, no drama, just three men, flawed and forging peace. As we left, John clapped my shoulder, genuine, almost grateful. "Take care of him, Harper. He deserves it." In the street, William sagged against me, exhale ragged. That was harder than the fight. I kissed his temple, tasting salt. "But you did it." We did. Summer unfurled hot and hazy, our rhythm settling into something sustainable. I scored a commission for a travel mag, road-tripping Route 66, chasing Americana ghosts, and William tagged along between scenes, turning the van into our rolling confessional. We'd pull over at diners with chrome stools and pie under glass, swapping stories, his first kiss with a farm boy behind the barn, fumbling and sweet, my coming out in a cramped dorm, Dad's quiet nod over beer the only approval I needed. Nights in motel rooms with neon buzzing outside. We'd make love slow, exploratory, learning the languages of each other's scars. His faint line from a bar fight, my constellation of freckles he called stars. But conflict brews in calm waters. Midway through Kansas, my phone rang. John, of all people. "Not personal," he rushed, voice clipped. "Your book's getting buzz. Trib wants an interview with both of you. Piece on reinvention, second chances. Off the record first." William overheard, face clouding. "No way. That's his beat, his spin." We argued in a gas station lot, pumps ticking like timers, the heartland stretching endless and indifferent. It's exposure, I countered. For you. For us. But he saw strings, John's ghost pulling them. Or it's him worming back in, making us his redemption arc. We tabled it, but the seed festered. Back in Chicago, the offer ballooned photo spread, feature in the Sunday art section. Tempting, career rocket fuel. William relented, grudging, and the shoot was civil. Us in the loft, laughing over takeout, John snapping candids with a deference that bordered on deference. But editing brought the betrayal's aftershock. Draft emailed. Glowing prose. Yes, but laced with subtext. William as the prodigal, me the catalyst, John the unsung architect of their pain. He twists it, William fumed, pacing our kitchen, takeout boxes toppling. Like I needed his permission to heal, I confronted John at his office. Glass walls overlooking the river, the city a glittering trap below. Tone it down, I said, sliding the printout across his desk. He leaned back, fingers steepled, that old smirk flickering. It's the truth, Alex. Dramatic, sure, but honest. You two are the heroes. I'm just the villain who paved the way. Venom in velvet. Or you're the ex who can't let go. His laugh was hollow. Maybe. But ask yourself, without me, would he have crashed into your room that night? Sometimes, betrayal's the best plot twist. The words haunted, seeding doubt. That night, William sensed it, drawing me into bed with wine and warmth. What's eating you? He murmured, lips on my collarbone. I confessed, raw, and he held me tighter. He's wrong. We crashed because we were meant to. Lovemaking followed, tender and affirming, his body a rebuttal to every insecurity. But dawn brought resolve. We pulled the plug on the piece, emailing John a polite no thanks. Our story ours alone. Autumn deepened the bond, leaves carpeting the parks in crimson confession. William's play opened to raves, critics calling his lead a revelation, raw and riveting, and the after-party swirled with champagne toasts and industry whispers. John sent flowers, anonymous at first, then signed, "Proud of you." J. William burned them in the sink, flames dancing like exorcism. But the gesture lingered, a thorn in our idol. Then came the real storm, Thanksgiving, when my folks flew in from Philly, all Norman Rockwell expectations. Mom adored William instantly, his charm, his pasta, while Dad grilled him on plans, subtext heavy as turkey gravy. Solid guy, Dad pulled me aside later, clapping my back. Don't screw it up like last time. The ex's shadow loomed, but William fit, easy in our chaos. Yet over pie, my sister cornered me. He seems great, but that drama with the ex, John's blowing up group chats, saying you're homewreckers, gossip from mutuals, John's narrative poison spreading. William overheard, face ashen, and bolted to the fire escape, chain smoking into the night. I followed, wrapping a blanket around him. It's noise, I said. We know our truth, but his eyes glistened. Do we? What if I'm the wrecker, dragging you into my mess? Vulnerability cracked wide, and we talked till frost bit our fingers. Fears of toxicity, cycles unbroken. We're not them, I vowed. We're us, choosing every day. Winter's cusp brought climax's chill. John's escalation, a leaked email chain to theater blogs, twisting William's audition history as nepotism fallout from their split. Reviews soured overnight, whispers turning to barbs. William spiraled, cancelled callbacks, isolation in the loft, whiskey bottles multiplying. "I can't do this," he confessed one blizzard night, snow howling outside. The stage was my out. Now it's tainted. I held him as sobs racked, my own rage boiling. Betrayal's second wave, deeper because delayed. I hunted John down at a holiday mixer, cornering him in a coat room thick with fur and forgotten scarves. "This your idea of moving on?" I hissed. He whirled, Scotch-slurred. "He was mine first. You think a hotel hookup erases that?" Fists clenched. "But words won. It erases nothing. But it builds something real. Let go, John. Before you lose yourself too." He deflated, tears tracking. "I already have." Redemption's thread wove back. William rallied, channeling pain into a monologue that gutted audiences. Raw, redemptive. The play extended, and in the final bow, he dedicated it to the loves that break and the ones that mend. Backstage, amid roses and roar, he proposed not with a ring, but a script page, our story, sketched in his hand. "Marry me, Alex." Not despite the mess, but because of it. Tears blurred. I said yes. The loft, our chapel that night. Bodies and vows entwined. John's silence followed, a healing hush. Spring bloomed anew. Our book launch a quiet triumph. Signings in indie shops. Readers nodding at the humanism. Love as imperfect grace. Years on, in a brownstone with a garden plot and a dog named Echo, we remember that naked dawn. Shock birthed us, betrayal tempered, romance rooted deep. Human, yes flawed, fierce, forever. The wedding was a quiet rebellion against the spectacle John had planned. No Keys sunset, no three-piece band, just us, a Unitarian minister with a penchant for poetry, and 20 souls in a lakeside chapel north of the city. May's breath was soft, lilacs heavy in the air, and William stood at the altar in linen slacks and a shirt unbuttoned just enough to tease the compass tattoo I'd inked on his chest 2 summers back, a nod to our Route 66 odyssey. His eyes found mine as I walked the aisle, arm linked with my sister's, and in that gaze, every fracture mended. The hotel shock, the cafe confessions, the blizzard breakdowns. Vows exchanged like Polaroids snapped, developed in the light of now. "With this ring, I thee wander," he said, sliding the simple band over my knuckle, voice steady but laced with that Ohio twang that still melted me. Laughter rippled, Mom dabbing tears, Dad nodding approval from the pews. Reception was picnic style on the shore. Blankets spread, guitars strumming folk covers, cake a towering thing from a Ukrainian bakery in Ukrainian village, dense with poppy seeds and promise. John didn't come, his RSVP a polite decline, followed by a card. "Wishing you both the happy ending I couldn't write. Jay, we burned it later. Ashes to the waves. Closure's final punctuation." Honeymoon was a road trip redux, this time east to the Finger Lakes, where vineyards rolled like green promises and cabins nestled woodsy and remote. We hiked gorges slick with spring runoff, William's hand firm in mine over mossy bridges, his laughter echoing off sheer drops. Nights by the fire, wine warming our veins. We talk futures, not grand, but grounded, adopting a rescue mutt, maybe fostering kids one day, turning the loft spare room into a darkroom cum scriptorium. Sex was sacrament there, unhurried explorations under raftered ceilings, his body a landscape I'd mapped 100 times yet discovered anew. "You're my horizon," he'd murmur post-climax, fingers tracing my spine, and I'd believe in eternity, if only for the hush of those hours. Reality reasserted in June's swelter, back to the grind. My portfolio swelling with editorial gigs. William guest starring on a cop procedural that filmed in a warehouse district. All grit and gunplay. But domesticity bred its own conflicts, subtle, insidious, the kind that erode like lake waves on stone. Bills piled, his residuals spotty. My jealousy flared when a co-star flirted too freely at rap parties. "It's nothing," he'd assure, but the seed of doubt, John's legacy, took root. One sticky evening, after a fight over forgotten laundry that escalated to, "Do you even want this?" we slept back to back, the bed a chasm. Morning brought contrition, coffee in bed, his apologies baked into blueberry scones from the corner spot. "We're not them," he said, echoing old mantras, and we made up slow, reaffirming in the shower's steam. But the undercurrent persisted, bubbling up in therapy sessions we started at a queer center in Boys Town, neutral ground where a soft-spoken counselor named Ravi unpacked our baggage. "Betrayal's a ghost," Ravi noted, as William fidgeted with his ring. "It haunts until named." Sessions unearthed gems. My fear of abandonment rooted in Dad's long-ago affair, news to me, dropped casual over cards one Christmas. William's terror of inadequacy from a father who deemed theater fairy nonsense. Healing wasn't linear. July's heat wave trapped us indoors, fans whirring futile, and William's big break landed. A lead in a Steppenwolf world premiere. Fractured frames, about a photographer grappling with loss. Casting call coincidence? Or fate's wry-nod? Rehearsals consumed him, late nights yielding to dawn, and I filled voids with solo shoots. Abandoned factories in Gary, their rust a metaphor for neglect. One dusk, framing a shattered window's golden shards. My phone buzzed, "John." Again. "Congrats on the show." Broke my embargo on checking in. "If you need an ear, delete." But the ping lingered, a reminder of fractures unfixed. The real rupture came in August, when Williams' play hit previews. Rave buzz, sold-out houses, but backstage, the cast fractured, lead actor out with mono, understudy flopping. Director eyed William, "You know the role cold. Step up." Temptation gleamed. It was Broadway-adjacent glory. He took it, dives into lines till voice cracked, body lean from stress-skip meals. I supported, cheering opening night in a throng of critics, but pride mingled with prescience. The role demanded intimacy, a brooding affair with the photographer protagonist. On-stage kisses raw and real. Reviews exploded. William last name ignites as the lover. Chemistry with co-star electric. Electric. The word stung. Tabloids twisting it to rekindled sparks? Ghosts of John's spin. Fans shipped them online. Hashtags trending. And William laughed it off over post-show beers. But I saw the toll. His eyes scanning crowds for familiar faces. Paranoia creeping. "It's theater, Alex." Smoke and mirrors. But mirrors reflect truths. And one night, post-matinee, I caught him and the co-star. Let's call him Tyler. Lingering in the green room. Laughter too intimate. A hand on the arm that lingered. No affair. I knew gut deep, but the optics gutted. Confrontation brewed over takeout in the loft. Low main cooling as accusations flew. "It's nothing," he defended, fork clattering. "But it looks like everything. Like before." My voice broke, John's shadow looming large. He softened, pulling me close. I hate that he did this to us. Made me prove myself. We cried then, together, the fight dissolving into honesty. My insecurity a mirror to his stage fright, both fed by past poisons. Resolution came circuitous. I shadowed a shoot for the play's promo, candid snaps of the cast, me behind the lens reclaiming narrative. Tyler was charming, openly gay and partnered, the chemistry pure craft. William shone, vulnerable in the spotlight, and in the contact sheet later, I saw us, not rivals, but reflections, two artists bearing souls. We talked it through with Ravi. Boundaries redrawn. Date nights mandatory. Check-ins like lifelines. Fall foliage framed our recommitment. A weekend in Door County. Apples crisp. Where we renewed vows under maples. Rings kissed like talismans. John resurfaced tangential. A byline in Variety praising Williams' meteoric rise from personal ashes. No malice. Just professional nod, and in it, growth. He was healing too. Whispers of a new partner, a quieter life. Our paths crossed once. At a benefit gala. Suits starched, small talk stiff but civil. You look happy, he said to William. Genuine. We are, William replied, my hand in his. No drama, just men. Evolved. Winter wrapped us cozy, the play's run extending into snowdrifts. William's Tony buzz hummed, but awards paled to home. Our dog, Milo, a scruffy terrier mix, curling between us on the couch. Holiday cards from my folks featuring us four, Milo photobombed. Betrayal scar faded to silver, a reminder not of pain, but resilience. Spring 2027 bloomed with baby steps, literally. We fostered our first kid, a shy 10-year-old named Luca, all wide eyes and foster system walls. His arrival appended. Midnight anxieties, school runs clashing with rehearsals. But in the chaos, love deepened, William reading bedtime stories with dramatic flair, me capturing Luca's first Cubs game grin. Conflict arose. Sure, exhaustion sparking spats, but humanism prevailed. Patience as practice, forgiveness as family. John's wedding invite arrived summer solstice stamped. Small ceremony in Milwaukee. Friends old and new. We debated, but went closures full circle. He looked radiant, his groom a soft-spoken librarian with kind eyes. Toasts rang true, John's speech owning past, toasting our unwavering light. We danced once, the three of us in a clumsy triangle, laughter healing old riffs. To plot twists, John quipped, and we clinked, free. Back home, Luca's adoption papers signed, our story etched permanent. That naked hotel dawn? The shock that started it all. Now legend retold over campfires, how vulnerability birthed victory. Romantic, undeniably. Dramatic, every act. But human above all, love. Not as perfection, but persistence. Adopting Luca shifted our axis, turning the loft from lover's nest to family's fulcrum. He arrived with a duffel of hand-me-downs and a glare that could curdle milk. 9 going on 90. His file a litany of placements failed. Too loud. Too quiet. Too much. First weeks were trial by toddler tantrum. His silences louder than screams. William, ever the performer, wooed with puppet shows from milk crates, voices pitching high and low till Luca's cracks widened to grins. Me, I documented quietly, photos of tiny hands and big ones, chalk art on the fire escape building an album of belonging. But integration bred friction. William's schedule ballooned, fractured frames touring nationally, cities blurring into spotlights and strangers' applause. I juggle shoots with school pickups, Luca's questions piling like unedited negatives. Why'd my mom leave? Overdose. Truth too sharp for now. Is William my dad? Soon. Love. Soon. Nights alone with the boy, tucking him in with Kerouac light tales. I'd ache for William's steadiness, the bed cold without his sprawl. Calls from the road crackled with, I miss you, S. But distance distills doubts. Tyler's flirty DMs surfacing in group chats, harmless but haunting. October's tour swing through Philly brought collision. My folks hosted a welcome-home dinner, Luca wide-eyed at Grandma's lasagna, Grandpa's magic tricks. But William arrived wired, post-show adrenaline masking exhaustion. Over pie, Luca piped, Dad says you're famous now. The slip, Dad hung sweet, but William's smile faltered, fork pausing. Later, in the guest room, he confessed, it's everything, Alex. But what if I'm gone too much, like my old man, vanishing into bottles? Old wounds reopened, Ohio echoes. We made love urgent, reaffirming, but morning's flight left a hollow. Luca felt it, regressing, bedwetting, nightmares of abandonment. Therapy for him now too, a playgroup at the center where Ravi moonlighted, and my role sharpened, rock in the ripple. A gig fell through, freelance drought, and resentment simmered. You're choosing lights over us? I accused over FaceTime, pixels fracturing his face. I'm building for us college funds. Security, retorts flew. Luca eavesdropping from the hall. His small voice later, don't fight. Please, guilt gutted. We paused, promising presence. John's orbit intersected unexpectedly. His husband, Eli, worked pediatric psych, consulting on Luca's case, ethical walls high. But a coffee meet yielded wisdom. Trauma bonds tight. Give him anchors, not anchors away. John tagged neutral, sharing his own foster stint. Voice stripped. I was the kid once. Almost broke me. Vulnerability bridged. No romance residue, just men mentoring family. William, hearing it relayed, softened. Maybe he's not the villain anymore. Holiday crunch amplified cracks. William home for Thanksgiving, but jet-lagged and snappish, snapping at Luca over spilled gravy. Not now, echoed my father's old bellows, and the boy bolted, tears hot. William chased, apologies in the bathroom, emerging with hugs and hot cocoa. But the mirror held, am I turning into him? We dissected post-feast, wine loosening tongues, his fear of fatherhood's failures, my terror of solo parenting. Ravi's homework, weekly us rituals, no exceptions. Date nights resumed. Improv classes where we'd ad-lib our saga, laughter lancing tension. Winter deepened commitments. Luca's first holiday concert, off-key carols in a school gym smelling of pine and wax crayons, William front row, filming every wobbly note. Backstage, he scooped the boy. Proud doesn't cover it, kiddo. My lens caught it, heart full. But betrayal's specter stirred anew. An anonymous email to William's agent, dredging John's old smears, twisted to unstable home whispers threatening custody reviews. Panic crested, who? A disgruntled castmate? John's past ally? Investigation traced to a bitter ex of Tyler's. Grudge-fueled hack. William confronted stage-side. Words civil but firm. Our family's off-limits. The leak dried. But ripples rocked. CPS check-in. Questions probing our stability. We aced it, Luca's drawings of my two dads, the clincher, but vulnerability lingered. What if they take him? William whispered one midnight, Milo snoring at our feet. They won't. We're solid. Lovemaking followed. Fierce anchor. Bodies battling phantoms. Spring's thaw mirrored mending. William wrapped tour triumphant. Residuals banking a down payment on a house in Oak Park. Frank Lloyd Wright shadows. Yards for Lucas swings. Moving day chaos. Boxes labeled fragile. Hearts. Laughter amid sweat. John and Eli helped. Trucks unloaded in camaraderie. Eli bonding with Luca over puzzles. Families chosen, he said, and John nodded. Ghosts exorcised. Yet climax loomed in June. Williams' callback for a pilot, LA-based, 6-month shoot. Dream gig, but geography's gut punch. We could go, he proposed. I's hopeful. Luca's school roots. My Chicago commissions, tethers taught. Debates raged. Pros, fame's ladder. Cons, uprooting again. Luca overheard. Small voice steady. If it makes you happy, Dad. But come back. Wisdom pierced. And William declined. Gut-wrenching but right. You're my leading role, he told the agent. Then me. Ring finger twisting. The choice catalyzed growth. He pivoted to voice work. Flexible hours for family forts and father-son hikes. I expanded the darkroom to community workshops, queer youth learning to frame their stories. John collaborated tangential, guest speaking on resilience. His presence a footnote, not forefront. Summer solstice marked year 1. Luca's adoption anniversary. Backyard bash with water balloons and barbecue. Toasts to trials surmounted. To love's labor. As dusk fell, fireflies winking, William pulled me aside. That hotel room? Best wrong door ever. Kiss sealed. Luca giggling nearby. Fall brought fruition. My book sequel. Framed lives. Weaving our tapestry. Naked shocks to nestled nows. Launch packed. John in the crowd. Buying first copy signed to plot twists and peace. Betrayal's arc bent benevolent. Winter's hush gifted grace. Luca's first snowman. William's arms around us both. Human arcs curve. Not straight. Dramatic dips. Romantic rises. Emotional eddies. Ours, etched in ice and ink, endures. By 2028, our Oak Park idyll had roots deep as the century oaks lining the streets, branches sprawling toward horizons we once feared. Luca, now 11, bloomed gangly and gabby, braces glinting in debates over Marvel versus DC. His room a shrine to comics and camera gear I'd gifted, my mini-me in the making. William's voice gigs evolved, narrating audiobooks with that whiskey timbre, characters leaping alive, residuals steadying our sails. Mornings, he'd brew coffee strong, French toast for the boy, our routine a rhythm of small sanctities. But peace invites perturbation. Spring unearthed old fault lines when Luca's school project, my family tree, prompted questions. Where's my real mom? We'd prepped scripts. Truths tiered by tenderness. But his eyes demanded depth. William fielded. Voice actor steady. She's family too. But gave you life. We give you love. But seeds sown. Luca dug online. Foster records hacked via a classmate's dad. Cop connections yielding her obit. Overdose. 2 years prior. He confronted us tear-streaked. You lied. Not malice. But omissions sting. The fallout fractured. Slammed doors. Silent treatments. William blaming my photographer's delay. In full disclosure. Me countering his performer polish on pain. Nights. Luca bunked with Milo. Us adrift in the kitchen. Words weaponized. We're failing him, William rasped, head in hands. Like they failed me. Echoes of Ohio. John's cage, cycles circling. Ravi reconvened. Sessions tri-family now. Unpacking grief's layers. Luca's loss layered atop ours. Betrayal's broad brush. Healing hinged on honesty. We road-tripped to her gravesite. Small-town Indiana. Cornfields whispering. Luca clutching wildflowers. William reading a poem he'd penned. Me snapping not photos but presents. She fought hard, the stone said. And in that hush, Luca bridged. For me, always, we chorused. Return mended. Family tree redrawn, not linear, but lattice, branches intertwining. John's thread wove supportive. Eli's clinic offered Luca grief groups. John's check-ins casual cards with dad jokes. One autumn eve, over cider at our harvest fest, he admitted, seeing you three is what I envied. Eli and I were building slow, no rush, no wreckage, growth mirrored, no grudge. Climax crested holiday tide. Williams' Emmy nod for a limited series narration, queer memoir voiced visceral. Buzz built to ceremony. LA red carpet allure. But Lucas flew sidelined. Go, dads. I'll Netflix. We debated, but went date night deluxe. Tuxes tailored. My hand in his on the flight. Spotlight swirled. Interviews probing the real story behind the voice. Nods to our book. Win came. Statuette heavy. Speech heartfelt. To Alex, my muse. Luca, my light. And the shocks that shaped us. Elation soured on route home. Plane turbulence mirroring turmoil. Williams' phone alight. Agent pitching a sequel series. On location in Vancouver. Year-long. It's now or never, he urged post-landing. Luca fever-flushed on the couch. Temptation Tour. Career zenith versus home hearth. Fight ignited. We've built this, I roared. Not at your expense, he parried. Luca wandered in. Thermometer dangling. Don't leave, please. The plea pierced. Decision dawning. William called the agent Dawn. Pass. Family's my finale. Back to bed. Us three piled, Milo included, fever dreams lulled by stories. Betrayal's ghost, vanquished, replaced by choice's clarity. 2029 dawned domestic dreams. Luca's bar mitzvah, my heritage, embraced eclectic. William directing a community play, Luca stagehand, me lighting tech. John's family joined, Eli's kin too, tapestry textured. Summer surprise, pregnancy proxy talk, via surrogate our bio blend, hoped. Waitlists long, but hope lit. Miscarriage's shadow loomed later, ache acute, but we held therapy, tribe, time. Not less, William whispered, just ours, decades cusp, 2030, book tour redux, enduring exposures, chronicling the continuum. John co-paneled One Stop, dialogue dynamic, from rivals to roots, laughter healed, humanism's hymn. That eve, Hotel Redux, Chicago Palmer House, suite overlooking the loop. Naked again, intentional, William poured bourbon. To shocks and what follows, laughter led to love, bodies battle-worn but bold. Dawn's light framed us, city stirring below. Our story, no tidy bow, dips dramatic, emotions ebbing, romance rekindled ritual. Betrayals, teachers, turning pain to profundity. Human, holy, two men, a boy, a dog, weaving worth from wreckage. and in every frame, grace,